Hi, I'm Wayne and welcome to Bassador Woodworking. Today's project is a wooden dead blow mallet. I've made by this time dozens of wooden mallets, but I've never made one out of plywood, so I'm actually really excited to see how this comes out. A dead blow hammer or mallet is essentially just a container of either lead shot or ball bearings or sand with a handle on it so that when you swing it, it imparts all the energy of your swing into that mass in the head. We're going to put those same principles into our plywood mallet. We're going to create layers of the plywood and create cavities within that plywood to fill with lead shot. The head of the mallet is going to be 3 inches wide, so I use a setup block to set my table saw fence to 3 inches, and I then rip the scrap piece of plywood down to width. Next, I cut the mallet head down to length, so I set a stop block for 6 inches on the radial arm saw, and I cut 4 pieces. I then remembered that this is plywood, and I can cheat a little by cutting 2 of my layers to preform the mortise. These pieces will become the handle, so I'm just cutting them down to length. All of our pieces are now cut. I have the head pieces all cut. Our total dimensions for the head of our mallet will be 6 inches wide by 3 inches tall. I also have our handle material cut, and our handle will be about 8 inches from the bottom of the head. So the total length of these boards is 11 inches. Now what we need to do is drill our holes through these blocks to create our cavities for lead shot. We can then start gluing up the head. We will create a mortise by just layering the plywood, and then we'll just cut this down so that it slots in, and we'll run some dowels through it to hold everything nice and tight. We need to make sure that this has a nice tight mechanical connection because this head is going to gain a substantial amount of weight once we put the lead shot in it. Right now I'm deciding what size hole to bore into the mallet head to create my cavity for lead shot. I want the hole to be large enough that it adds considerable heft to the mallet, but I don't want it to be so large that that heft becomes unwieldy and also damages the structural integrity of the mallet, because I will be striking the side of the cavity on whatever I am hitting. So I don't want it to be so much weight behind it that it just cracks the wood in the middle. So I'm thinking 1 5/16 is as large as I want to go. That leaves me still with considerable meat on both sides of the hole. Each hole with the Forstner bit needs to be perfectly aligned with the piece that it's going to mate to. So I have both pieces stacked and clamped in a hand screw. That will allow me to drill 1 hole through each side. The 2 sides don't need to be perfectly equal. As long as they're not way off, the balance of the mallet won't be bad. Now it's time to start gluing up the mallet head. I apply some glue and then I simply tack it in place with the pin nailer so that nothing shifts side to side. I glue the 2 halves of the handle together and then I just leave it to dry for about 45 minutes with some weight on it. I line my handle up with the head and just mark where my mortise starts and ends. Then I go over to the bandsaw and just cut out the tenon that I marked out. Some light sanding on the belt sander and everything fits together nice and tightly. I use the handle of another mallet as a reference point and then just kind of sketch out what I want my handle to look like from there. Then I rough out a profile on the bandsaw, and I can then head over to the belt sander to finish it off. It's now time for final assembly. I fill the mortise with glue, slide the handle in, and then it's time to fill the cavities with some lead shot and to glue the top piece on. While that's clamped together and the glue is drying, I'm going to start prepping the dowel. A dowel is going to run through the head of the hammer and through the handle to hold everything tight so there's a strong physical connection there. This is the smallest dowel that I have. It's 3/4 of an inch. Should be fine. I don't feel like turning a smaller dowel, so this should be perfectly adequate. Okay, so I applied some putty to just some of the voids that were in the plywood. This is a nice quality plywood, so the voids are very small, but this will just help seal it and help it take finish better. It won't be structural at all. All right, once that's done, we will then sand the hell out of this thing, and we'll then finish with some boiled linseed oil and some paste wax. This is going to be a tool in my shop, so I'm not going to go crazy with the finish. I'm going to just do 1 coat of boiled linseed oil just to kind of bring out the plywood's color a little bit better, and then I'll hit it with some paste wax just to protect it a little bit from the elements. Okay, it's essentially done. It's coming out really nice. It has good weight to it. So now it's just time to hit it with a coat of boiled linseed oil, let that dry, wipe off the excess, and then just put some paste finishing wax on this. Okay, that just needs to dry. It's all done. I really like the way that it came out. It has a nice weight to it. The handle's not too long, and I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it in the shop. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with new projects as they are released. And until next time, thank you.